welcome to this edition of Press Conference. I'm your host, Jim DeLorenzo, the principal of Jim DeLorenzo Public Relations. You can find me online at jimdelorenzo.com. I have found that my career in public relations is my true vocation, telling the stories of my clients and my colleagues in a compelling way to drive sales, membership, and awareness. I've been blessed in that career, and I have many ideas that might be helpful to you. Please feel free to contact me directly, either by email at jim@jhdenterprises.com or by cell phone or text message at 215-266-5943. I would enjoy a conversation with you. You can also find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. In that career, I've had the good fortune to meet many interesting people: athletes, entrepreneurs, reporters, coaches, authors, executives, editors, entertainers, and innovators. My guest today is an entrepreneur and an author, and someone who has shared her philosophy of living a simple, joy-filled life in her recent book, Downsize Your Life, Upgrade Your Lifestyle, Secrets to More Time, Money, and Freedom. Rita Wilkins embraced that lifestyle after downsizing from her 5,000 square foot home in the country to an 867 square foot home in Center City, Philadelphia. Her downsizing journey was inspired by a trip that she took to a third world country, Senegal, where people had so little but were so very happy. She gave away 95% of her stuff to people who needed it or wanted it. She is now living on 5% of what she once owned and has never been happier. Realizing the impact of her own downsizing journey, Rita was inspired to share her story, and I'm inspired to hear more about that story, Rita. I really thank you for being our guest today.
You're welcome. I'm glad to be here. And I love sharing this story because as an interior designer for 36 years, of course a designer has to have a beautiful home and all of the beautiful stuff, which I did. But, you know, life has its interesting twists and turns. And for me, it was an invitation from my son, who was serving in the Peace Corps in Senegal, to come visit him for a month, where I stayed in his tiny little hut.
Wow.
And I had never experienced people who had nothing. But one of the most profound experiences happened all within the first 5 minutes. And that was when the village elder greeted me. My son had been there for a year, and they were in love with him. And of course, meeting his mother was, you know, a big deal for the village. So I arrived, and the village elder reached down and handed me this scrawny little chicken. And of course, I'd never really held a chicken before, but I knew from my son's experience that this was so valuable. And then that evening, his African mother prepared a beautiful dinner. Her kitchen table was the ground.
Right.
And she prepared a dinner for 15 people with that little chicken sitting on top. And what made such a difference in my life was that during the day she had carved a wooden spoon for me, since she knew I wouldn't yet be comfortable eating with my hand. So she pushed the better part of the chicken towards my son and me.
Wow.
And it was in that moment I said, oh my goodness, this is just such an unusual experience for me. People have nothing, but they're happy. They dressed for dinner with their beautiful garb, and then the firelight, and then all the dancing, the singing, and then giving you the best.
Wow. That's inspiring, yeah.
It changed me forever.
And that was how long ago?
It was nine years, going on 9 years ago.
Okay.
And, you know, I was there for the month and experienced everything my son was doing. So we did field work, I cooked, all the things that they did.
Right.
And there were so many humbling experiences. Like the women would get up 2 hours early to go walk for what would be 5 kilometers to bring a bucket for my bath.
Wow.
So enough of those experiences humble you greatly.
Sure.
And so when I came back to my beautiful designer home, the 5,000 square foot home, I looked around and it was almost like the lights had gone out, and I went from room to room, and it now was just stuff.
Yeah.
It didn't have meaning. And of course, you know, that discernment was that I made it mean something when it really is just stuff. And that was the beginning of my downsizing journey, which is why they call me the Downsizing Designer.
Now, the way I've heard you describe it is that you were looking at there's one incident in your book. You were looking at your closet, and you were trying to decide, what do I get rid of?
Yeah.
And how do I do this? And it almost brought you to tears,
Yeah.
or it did
Yeah.
bring you to tears
Yeah.
in some way, because you're thinking to yourself, I'm never going to be able to do this.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you came up with a way to invite your family to come and help,
Yeah.
and help you make this move.
Yeah.
And what were some of the first things that you did to downsize?
Okay. So as a designer, we design buildings. We've done work all over the country. And so if you look at the whole space, it's overwhelming. If you chunk it down, then it's all manageable.
Right.
And I had to give myself that talk because this was my home. And for the first month, I actually tried to do it by myself.
Okay.
And so that one closet, and you say, well, how can a closet make you cry? Well, this closet, I walked in and I thought, oh, I'll start in my closet. And I had 11 closets and 9 rolling racks. So that's how many clothes I had,
Wow.
which was ridiculous, but that's what I had. And as I walked into this closet, and it was a snowy day, and I thought, perfect, I'll do this. But I walked in and I kind of went from one to the next to the next. So many of those clothes still had tags on them.
Oh my gosh.
And having just come from Senegal, where they might have 1, maybe 2 outfits.
Right.
Here, Rita has 11 closets and 9 rolling racks. And I started to feel this sense of, I've just got to do this because surely someone can use these clothes.
Yeah.
And so that particular day, I immediately put things in boxes or in piles. I immediately put it into my car and then drove it to a women's shelter that I've worked with for years. And when I saw the smiles on their faces, I said, this is what I need to do with the whole house.
Right. And you describe in the book, at least the parts of it that I've read so far, they were grateful. They were smiling and they were grateful, and they actually came out to the car to help you with the stuff, which you didn't expect them to do. They were so grateful to be receiving these beautiful clothes.
I think it just put me into my humble beginnings
Yeah.
as a woman who grew up with 5 children and a very happy family, but we were just a simple middle-class family. And so I was able to, because of my career success, I was able to build this beautiful home and all of that. But what I really realized through the whole thing is that's not who I was.
Mm-hmm.
I was pretending to be something I really wasn't.
You had built a showplace for yourself to just kind of say, this is what I can do for you,
Yep.
but at the same time, I wasn't doing anything for you.
No, it was empty inside. But, we make ourselves, mean something, and, our success means this, having the bigger house, the whatever. And I'm glad I had the experience because now my story is, I'm not denigrating anyone that has all of that. That's
Right.
wonderful if that's what they choose. My choice was to downsize by 95%, and I literally am living on 5% of what I once had, and I have never been happier. I now have more time, more money, more freedom to do what really matters to me.
Right.
So the book was one of those things that I did. The book, I hope, is a journey for other people to consider. It's not just your physical stuff you're downsizing, though. It's also all the mental clutter.
Sure, because you get caught up in the having
Yep.
and getting.
Yep. And, part of my journey every weekend was to go out shopping. Well, there was an emptiness inside. And what I discovered over the course of the year of downsizing is there was a gap. I was lonely. I'm a single woman and living in that big house by myself. And now I fill my time, meeting interesting
Yeah.
people, having wonderful conversations, doing a lot of writing, developing a lifestyle business. So I speak around the country now about the impact of living with less, because then you have freedom.
Tell me a little bit more about that concept of the freedom, because in our conversations, it's been very interesting to me, but I think our viewers would appreciate hearing from your point of view what that freedom entails, or what, how you got to that freedom. You talk about downsizing, but there's so much more to that.
Once you let go of the physical stuff, and that's not all easy, that's a
Right.
journey. And when you start to let go of some of the mental clutter, for me, the mental clutter was believing that if I didn't have the big house, I wouldn't be successful.
Okay.
Believing that if I didn't have all this beautiful stuff, that was my expectation of myself, and that's what I thought others expected. But once I said, no, I am who I am, and I really want that simple life like I experienced in Senegal, That was part of the decluttering process. And when you let go of some of that stuff, you experience freedom because you make room for things that really matter to you. You know, and when you start to say, what really matters to me, that's where life begins. And John Maxwell calls it the why that makes you cry. Once you discern, nothing matters more to me than, you know, having this simple life so I can have more time with my family and my friends and doing all of these things, you can never go back. And so that's the message that I really want to parlay is, and it's not for everyone.
Right.
But on whatever level it is that you want to downsize, sometimes it's just cleaning out a closet or cleaning out drawers. You start to feel a sense of freedom. And also, it relieves a lot of the mental clutter. You know, during COVID, you know, with many of us being cooped up for quite a long time, I call it the clutter monster, has creeped in to many of our homes, my little apartment included, you know, so there was the mail, there were magazines, there's books, and I thought, wow, you know, it starts to pile up pretty quickly.
Sure.
So once you start getting rid of the old mail, the old magazines, whatever it is, you start to feel this freedom because you're making room for other things that really matter.
Right. That's interesting because, yeah, and as you say, right now, we're all sheltering in place. We're all working from home. We're teaching from home. We're going to school at home. And, you know, you and I have been talking through Zoom up until today. And there is a lot of stuff that goes on off camera, if you will.
Yeah.
And we get caught up in that, you know, is this going to work? Is this, can I use this? Or should I just keep this for a rainy day? And after a while, you begin to say to yourself, I don't really need this at all.
Well, you know, clutter is really just a deferred decision. That's all it is.
It's a great way to describe it.
If you think about, you know, leaving the clothes on the chair at night or the shoes, you know, there, a decision could be made, I'm going to put this away, or I'm going to deal with this right now. But, you know, when you have enough deferred decisions, that's when it starts piling up. And so once you say, no, I'm going to be more decisive, I'm going to create boundaries around just how long or how much that I will allow that to collect. For me, my car, because of what I do, frequently gets cluttered during the course of the week. But by Friday, I said, this is enough. So I put a boundary on that, you know, so I have a clean car as of Friday evening. And it feels good to do that. So whatever little habits you create, you know, this was something I grew up with, but dishes were always done as soon as dinner's done. You know, many people say, oh, I'll do it in the morning. And, you know, when you think about that, you wake up in the morning and there's that mind clutter of, there's the dirty dishes from last night. So they're little habits, and there's no one right way or wrong way. But, you know, for me, you know, the idea of clothing, I now have 2 closets, everything in there fits, and I love every piece of that. So coming from what I did have before, I realized how much clutter I had and how much space it was taking up in my head. Because did I really need that? No. Now this is actually kind of a funny story. It was soon after I moved in, and it was a Saturday and it was rainy, and those are the best days for me to declutter anything because I don't want to waste my time from being outside.
Sure.
So anyway, so I said, oh, I think I'll attack, you know, that part of my closet. Guess what? I still had 9 little black dresses. I said, Rita, what are you thinking? You just downsized. I mean, I do like little black dresses, but I thought this is ridiculous. So, but then I held them up. Oh, I can't let go. That one I can't let go. all those same emotions I was having back then. And I said, okay, well, put it on, put jewelry on, put lipstick on, do whatever you have to do. And then I was house cleaning with this dress. So here I am vacuuming, and I'd look in the mirror and I'd say, nah, it doesn't really look good on you. So that one was gone. And so I ultimately got down to 4, which for me was a win because I still like my little black dresses. So.
And black goes with everything. Now, you mentioned in passing earlier that it took you about a year to get to the 95% decluttering. Was it an everyday thing, or was it a couple days a week, or? Yeah,
so you have to do what works for you. And given that I'm a little bit of a party animal, I love being around people. So given that I was trying to do this by myself for 1 month, and every day I cried, every day. So I said, okay, well, what about if I ask for help? You know, strong women, we don't ask for help, right? So, but I thought, oh, I'm going to call one of my sisters. So I called my sister. Rita, we'd love to come and help you. They live in New England. So when do you want us to come? I said, how about next weekend? So what we created over the course of the year is family and friends come for 4 hours on a Saturday or Sunday or both. And we're going to attack that one little area of my, you know, garage, my attic, whatever. And then we're going to go have food and wine.
That's a great way to do it.
So for 4 hours every weekend, every Saturday, every Sunday, and then a little bit in between. But the fun part was the weekends.
Sure.
And now we have all these wonderful stories to tell.
Remember that time when we did that? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Isn't that a nice way to describe to do
It
it?
is, yeah. And at one point, my son and daughter-in-law were there. My daughter-in-law is Indian, and she's this big. And this was our very first day working together. And she said, where would you like to start? And she said, the kitchen. I said, the kitchen, which is not the best place to start.
Okay.
But we picked this one bank of drawers, and I'll never forget her face. Like, she opens this drawer, and she pulls out 4 sets of measuring spoons. And she just looked at me. She said, Rita, you really need 4 sets of measuring spoons? I said, no, I guess not. She said, pick one. So there goes the other 3.
Yeah.
But you know, it was that one drawer at a time, that one
Yeah.
closet at a time, that one shelf at a time.
Well, that's actually kind of inspiring to me too, and I want to continue our conversation. We're going to take a quick break here for some commercial messages, but we'll be right back with Rita Wilkins, the Downsizing Designer, and we'll talk about her book next.
Choosing Medicare coverage can be a very confusing and complicated process. Help is just a phone call away, 856-226-4800. As a licensed insurance agent, I'll assist you in making an informed and confident decision on a Medicare plan that meets your needs, lifestyle, and budget. Call me today for a free, no-obligation Medicare benefits consultation, 856-226-4800.
When did you see the sign?
When I needed to create a better visitor experience.
Improve our workflow.
Attract new customers. That's when Fast Signs recommended Fleet Graphics.
Yeah, now business is rolling in. Get started at fastsigns.com.
What do I want to be when I grow up? Maybe a musician? A veterinarian? Maybe an equestrian? A mommy? Well, why not be all these things and more? Consider joining me, Dr. V, with friends and colleagues as we explore a wide range of topics together. V is for variety, here on RVN TV.
There you go, Richard. Oh! Is that too hard for you?
No. Is it too hard for you?
Woo! We're playing catch now. Oh, shit.
Why should you choose Rowan College at Gloucester County? Low cost. The #1 nursing program in all of New Jersey. More than 70 programs of study, including selective admissions. With record enrollment. A premier partnership with Rowan University. Transfer options with numerous universities. 4-year degree options on our campus. Rowan College at Gloucester County. Now you're thinking.
Welcome back to Press Conference. I'm Jim DeLorenzo, and my guest today is Rita Wilkins, and she has written a book, Downsize Your Life. Upgrade Your Lifestyle. I blanked on the second part of the title. Downsize Your Life and Upgrade Your Lifestyle. And you published this book last fall, I believe, correct? And I've read probably about the first 3 chapters before we got on the show today, and Rita had promised me a copy. But tell me a little bit about why you wrote the book and what you hoped to accomplish by writing the book.
So everyone has a story to tell, and I didn't always have this book inside of me. But when I sat there after downsizing from my 5,000 square foot home to my 867 square foot apartment, I was sitting there one evening and I thought, wow, this has made such a difference in my life. What would it be like to make a difference in other people's lives simply by telling them the story? And because, I've been in the area for quite a long time, and a lot of people know me, and they started calling me the Downsizing Designer, which at first I thought, I don't know about that one, but then I embraced it because it meant something to them, and then I took it on. But then it's not just about downsizing, because it says what you do after you've downsized, what's your life going to be like? Well, as a designer, and having done work for residential clients, corporate clients, commercial clients all over the country, you realize, you take this right here and then you design that. So I was using the idea of, wow, I design interiors, why not design lives?
Interesting. That's a great way to describe it.
And actually, every day now in my lifestyle design division, I use the same technology if I were designing a building or designing a life as a coach.
Yeah.
And, it all begins with, what matters most to you. So if I'm interviewing a client, what matters most to you in this space? And then as a coaching client, what matters most to you? And once you feel that, I want to spend more time with my family. I want to have more real conversations with people. I want to travel more, whatever it is that you want. And then, creating a vision for that, because that's what designers do. We help you create a vision. And you have to say not just what you do want, what you don't want. So what can you get rid of? What can you downsize in your life?
Sure.
So downsize in your life, maybe it's toxic relationships. Maybe it's, living in a big house and you don't want that anymore. So that's like the second step. And then the third step is to say, okay, well, what do I need to get rid of?
Right.
And in my case, I needed to get rid of the physical stuff, then also a lot of the mental clutter. And then the next step is the design component is the ideation, I call it the magic of 3. So you're thinking all these things I want to do. I want to travel here. I want to go spend time with my granddaughter. I want to write a book.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I want to write a book. And then the last step is, and then there's prototyping, because you test it. So I had never lived in a city before, but my 2 sons, one lived in Côte d'Ivoire at that time, in the Congo, and then my other son lived in Manhattan. And I thought, I love going to cities, and I travel, I love to go to cities. Well, maybe I'll live in a city.
Sure.
So I thought, New York, Washington, Philadelphia, and Philadelphia was right between my 2 boys, so I said, okay, how about Philadelphia? So I prototyped this lifestyle. That's what you do when you're designing. You don't just jump right in. You kind of beta test it.
Right.
So I was beta testing for 3.5 years now, living in the city, and I've become a city girl. I love being a city girl.
Isn't that neat?
So the last step then is to do your blueprint or create your plan. How are you going to implement this? So essentially, Downsize Your Life, Upgrade Your Lifestyle it was not, oh, that's what I want to do. It all evolved.
Sure.
Which is what design is, So
it's not an event, it's a process.
It is, it's a process. And so sitting there on that sofa one night, I said, oh my God, what else can I do to make a difference in people's lives? And so I could write a book. Or in the case of my company, I went into my team the next day and I said, what would you think of working 3 days and playing 4? They're all over it. And so we created a business model called Work 3, Play 4. And I know you have a lot of entrepreneurs in your audience, and prior to COVID, that was our life. Working 3 days, playing four. Playing four for me meant writing the book, speaking, all the fun stuff
Sure.
in my life. And my team developed their own companies. So.
And you had mentioned in our conversation earlier, Tim Ferriss and his work
Yeah.
As an inspiration for that. And I think that's interesting because so many people that I have encountered, a previous guest on this show, Bill Rasmussen, was interviewed by Tim Ferriss for his book.
Okay.
And it's interesting that we're becoming much more cognizant of the fact that we need to have some thought. We need to have some type of a process to have a benefitful life, a good life, doing good by doing well.
Exactly.
That whole scenario. And so that you took that to your business model, and then you were able to grow your lifestyle and the fun activities include speaking and writing the book and all these other appearances that you do. Do you find that your customers and your clients that you worked with in the past on the interior designs and some of the other design aspects, are they coming back to you now and saying, oh, I've seen what you've done, I want to do this, or I want to try this?
Yeah, many of my clients for many years have been baby boomers. So baby boomers, maybe, I was the trendsetter, the pioneer, as they call me. I downsized, and then they're coming in and saying, well, will you help us downsize? So we have 3 divisions of my company. One is the interior design. The other is Downsizing Design, where we actually help people physically downsize their space and do strategy and all of that. And then the third is lifestyle design. So what you're speaking of is the lifestyle design. It's the quality of life you have within those beautiful interiors.
Okay.
And what I didn't realize, for all those years, I'd been helping people design their lives. When you think about walking into a medical or a dental office and that feeling of peace or that feeling of, you can have either or.
Right.
And so my job as a designer is to make sure that you have that calming feeling, that you're welcome, it feels safe, it feels clean, it feels all of those things. So that's my job as a designer. But what I didn't realize until I started thinking about it, wow, I've changed lives there, the people that work there, the people that visit there.
Sure.
And so all of my life I've essentially been changing lives through design. And,
wow.
And now my goal is to upgrade those lifestyles. So entrepreneurs, and we're always reinventing ourselves, right? So we're in the mode right now because of COVID. Many companies are having to reinvent. And to me, reinvention is like a middle name for me because it gets kind of exciting when you say, what's next? And so many people are saying, do I really want to go back to that job that I didn't love anyway?
Right.
Or is it time, and COVID is our opportunity to take the time to discern, what do you really want? And then create it, design your own life. And in the process of coaching, that's what I do. I help people discern all of that so they can, move forward with, I'm not going back to that job 24/7. I'm creating my own company, or when I go back, I'm not going to work 24/7. I'm going to work 3 days so I can spend more time with my family.
Right.
Whatever it is that you want.
And it's interesting, in our conversation the other day, I wrote this down. Everything is changing. What a great opportunity COVID-19 is giving us to reinvent ourselves. And I brought that out in a couple conversations after you and I had a conversation. And everybody kind of like, wow, that really does mean something, because it is an opportunity. We have this time to look at our lives and say, boy, I really enjoy being at home all the time. Maybe working from home is the answer for me.
Yeah.
Or if I could work from home, what would I do? How would I design it so that I can have my family involved with me on more than just 2 hours a night?
And lifestyle design is about choosing that. So often, we go through life with this, okay, I have to do this, I have to go to work, and that feeling of Monday morning and, oh good, it's Friday.
Right.
You don't have to live that way.
Sure.
I call it the status quo living. And so you can choose status quo, nothing wrong with it if that is what makes you happy, but on the other hand, what would you really like to do? So rather recently, one of my clients said, Rita, because of COVID, I get to spend more time with my family. I had no idea my 10-year-old daughter could have such wonderful conversations. And I think, my goodness, that was such an opportunity for them as father-daughter to get to know each other because of a crisis like COVID.
Yeah.
So whatever the discovery is, and I have a passion for sitting around the kitchen table having wonderful conversations. And the idea of having your family around the table, you're cooking, you're sharing food, rather than running out to whatever the closest restaurants are, having the kids run back and forth. And that's where, as in my world as a lifestyle designer, I just see so many positive things happening. Yeah. And reinvention is major. And I think if you haven't considered reinvention, think about it, because it's that time of your life you could start changing.
Absolutely. Well, I really thank you for the time
Thank you.
we've had a chance to spend with each other, both here today and in previous conversations. I'm looking forward to even more.
I agree.
I have a couple people in my head that I want to introduce you to,
Yeah.
so this is great. And I urge all our viewers to take a look. The book is Downsize Your Life, Upgrade Your Lifestyle. And it's a very compelling read. I got a chance to read some of it, as I said, and I recommend it highly. Where would people go to contact you? Is it?
You can, my my website is Rita Wilkins at ritawilkins.com. You can also just call me, because I'm pretty humble, 302-354-0972. And then the book is available on Amazon, Downsize Your Life, Upgrade Your Lifestyle.
I encourage everybody to take a look, check out the website, check out the book. It's very valuable information, and there's a couple downloads on her website as well that you can take a look at. I was impressed by the empty bucket challenge.
So I know we're running out of time, but there was one. It's called the reverse bucket list.
Yes.
So when people are deciding, what do I really want to do? I don't want to do this anymore. What do I want to do? I invite you to go backwards so you can look forward. So I've created, and you could go to my website, Rita Wilkins at ritawilkins.com, and download it. It's called the Reverse Bucket List. So you look at your life, and I actually, if I'm coaching, I say, write 50 things down that have mattered to you. Sometimes it's, what did you learn from this bad experience, from this failure? What did you learn from this? We can all write down diplomas and all of that. It's not that at all. It's about what mattered most to you. And then start looking there, because that could be where your next your next job is going to be.
Your next opportunity.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, thank you again, Rita. I encourage everyone to take a look. If you have any questions, feel free to give me a call, 215-266-5943, or drop me an email, jim@jhdenterprises.com. Thank you again for joining us today, and I look forward to seeing you all again very, very soon.
Add us on social